Well, 2018 saw some major developments and changes on Padre Island, and also some things that ended the year pretty much the way they started it. Island Moon newspaper publisher Dale Rankin takes a look in this week's Island Report.
The end of 2018 found some things on the island right where they were when the year began. Padre Island National Seashore is closed again due to a government shutdown. The Packery jetties are still awaiting repairs from Hurricane Harvey. The Holiday Inn is still closed but now under repair. The area around Lake Padre is still waiting for development. And the long-awaited water exchange bridge on South Padre Island Drive is still a mirage, in spite of the connecting channels being in place on both sides. The new island grocery store is still a work in progress, and 2018 saw 1,000 acres of island land change hands, including 240 acres along the Laguna Madre. There are new owners at the Sleederbond Water Park, and as 2019 begins, there is talk of closing more of the beach along the seawall to traffic due to a lack of sand to widen it. That's in spite of the mountain of sand available piled up by wind and heavy equipment along the South Packery jetty. But the most perplexing story of 2018 on the island has to be the newly constructed Road to Nowhere. When the new Dollar General store was built this year, the city required the owners to build this nice new road that leads to nowhere. It dead ends in both directions where the city right-of-way starts, but the road was never built, in spite of the underground infrastructure already being in place. Islanders took matters into their own hands this week and mowed the right-of-way so that the golf carts can get to the new business. Maybe by next year, it will be a road to somewhere. In the meantime, if anyone needs a chair, there's one available. For 3 News and the Island Moon newspaper, I'm Dale Rankin, and we'll see you on the island.
May not be there for long, though. Well,